You're listening to Building a Creative Life. I'm Pam Vale, an artist and writer. This podcast is about the small, often overlooked ways creativity shows up in real life, in what we notice and in what we choose to respond to. Here you'll find conversations and reflections shaped by curiosity, not instruction. No expectations, nothing to master. Just room to pay attention and trust where that leads. Hello, creative friends. I love writing my solo podcast so much. It's one of the main reasons I've been sharing them more often. There's something about the process that feels newly important to me, like something that's always been there, quietly germinating, and now it's breaking through the soil. Between my new book, my Substacks, and this podcast, it feels like the floodgates on my inner garden have opened, and I don't see them closing anytime soon. I have always been a natural observer, but what I didn't realize at the time was how much I was storing up. I didn't know that it was the laying of my foundation, clearing the space, building the beds, tending the soil, planting the seeds, watering, nourishing, and waiting. While this current explosion of ideas and information doesn't seem surprising to me, it does feel like it took a little while. We recently had to take a road trip for a funeral, about 3 hours in the car. And normally, as the passenger, I would bring things to do: crochet, knitting, stitching, sketching, planning, cutting, something with my hands packed in a little tote, somewhat mindless, but also productive. But this time felt different. I wanted to write and not make something. I'm not sure why, but the feeling was strong, so I listened. Our bodies and our minds will guide us if we listen and let them. Usually I would grab my phone or my iPad and dictate or type my thoughts. But something stopped me. I didn't want to disappear into a screen, and I didn't want to feel pulled away from the moment or from my son and my husband in the car. So I did something I don't usually do. I grabbed a blank journal and a couple of pens. It felt simple, and it kept me present. I could write, but I could also still be there. Writing on paper allowed me to look up, see the scenery, carry on conversations with my husband, and pause when I needed to. For me, working digitally just feels different. It's more all-consuming and places me in a separate place, private and cut off. About 20 minutes into the drive, ideas started coming, so I started writing. And then, a few minutes in, my hands started to cramp, which honestly felt a little ridiculous. I haven't felt that in a long time, but I kept going and it loosened up. It did make me realize, however, how little I actually write by hand anymore. Everything I write, my books, Substack articles, and podcasts, are on a screen or dictated, never longhand. Then I sort of lightheartedly thought, this is like journaling. I stopped. Wait, what? I have a journal. I have a pen. I'm writing in the journal. I'm processing thoughts, feelings, and ideas without editing. I'm making connections and retelling stories. Am I actually journaling? Why had I never thought about this like that before? My mind was blown. Because if I'm honest, I've always had this haze of disappointment that I don't have a consistent journaling practice. Not dramatic, just this underlying belief that I should be doing it. I know the benefits. I've experienced them: clarity, processing, understanding. But I never made it a priority, and I never stuck with it. Maybe I had false assumptions about what counted as journaling. The setting had to be right. The materials had to be perfect. I needed to be consistent and rigid on timing and frequency. If it didn't look a certain way, did it count? And then it hit me. This is my journaling practice. Writing these podcasts, writing my Substack articles. This is my form of journaling. This is where I process and where I reflect, where I question and connect ideas. It just looks a little different because I'm not physically writing on paper at a set time every day, which is kind of silly because of course it counts. It absolutely counts. So that brought me to my next thought. How often do we discount things just because they don't fit a specific format? Is yoga only beneficial if you can do the poses to their full expression? Of course not. Is meditation not valid if you don't sit silently cross-legged for an hour? Definitely not. Is creative expression nourishing only if you have a final product in the end? Not at all. Yet we create these ideas of what something must look like to make it right. Maybe it's because of an outside influence or some story we have built for ourselves. But either way, we have the power to challenge it and change it. Something about putting pen to paper shifted the idea of journaling for me. It made it visible in a different way, more open and accepting, more inclusionary of what I was already doing. And then I had another realization. If I count all of this writing as journaling, I've actually had a consistent journaling practice for well over a year. Very consistent, in fact. That's significant and something to acknowledge and celebrate. Even as creative as I am, I can still get stuck in a narrow definition of things, a lane, a way something is supposed to look, and sometimes just changing the format opens a door you didn't even know was there. So now I'm thinking about that more broadly. What else have I dismissed? What else might count that I haven't been giving myself credit for? What could shift just by looking at it differently? What door might open? And also, apparently, I have a journaling practice. Who knew? Thank you for being here. I hope something from today's conversation stays with you in a quiet way. If this episode felt meaningful, you're welcome to follow the podcast or pass it along to someone who might enjoy it. Until next time.